Welcome to another episode of the Hog Hoops Report with Kevin McPherson. Kevin, we got a whole bunch of Summer League to talk about. We've seen numerous outings of Nick Smith Jr., but yesterday, I want to start with Jordan Walsh. He went out and set that high water mark for new Pro Hawks, 18 points in that game against the Heat. What'd you see from that performance?
Well, we always knew coming into Arkansas as a five-star and a one-and-done projected guy that Jordan Walsh he projected to the next level as a 3-and-D wing. And he couldn't have been more 3-and-D out of the gates yesterday in his debut in the Las Vegas Summer League if he tried. You can't be more 3-and-D than catch and shoot when the ball moves to you on the wing and beyond that three-point line and release. He was relaxed. He didn't hesitate like we saw him do often at Arkansas. He made his first four threes, three of those early in the game. But he went on the way to 18 points. You mentioned it. That's the high water scoring mark after several games by several Pro Hogs in the Summer League so far. 18 points, 6-11 from the field. He finished 4 of 6 from three, knocked down his free throws. He also had a nice little dribble drive into a kind of a fadeaway 17-footer in there, so a mid-range shot. Got out in transition and finished above the rim on a lob. You know, we know he can pound it home with that 7'3" wingspan at 6'7". But you see a lot of small ball in Summer League, especially, and he was playing that 3-4. You know, he was sort of the fourth, you know, the second tallest guy on the court usually, but he's really going to be a 3 for the most part when he plays the real thing. And we don't know yet what kind of role he's going to have with a very veteran, you know, playing for championships now, Boston Celtics, your team, by the way. Yeah. I know you were giddy by this performance.
Yeah.
Will, but
I thought we were getting a G League player. Now he's looking, and now minus the king of overreactions here. Now he's looking like a guy who we could potentially be seeing on the bench next year. Tell me that's an overreaction.
It might be. And let me just tell you why. It's one game, and it's the Summer League. The Summer League's not the NBA. It's just a different animal. There are guys out there right now averaging 25 points a game through 3 or 4 games in the Summer League that might not crack a top 10 rotation when it gets to the real thing. But Jordan Walsh has qualities defensively. This is the part we thought would translate immediately. The defense, that length. Musman's called him a violent defender. Well, he did some good things defensively, both interior and on the perimeter. In different situations, I noticed that he actually challenged a shot at the rim, blocked it, had 5 rebounds. So he did his job. You know, he really
couple steals,
3 turnovers. He had some errant passes late in the fourth quarter, missed them, you know, started missing a little bit in the fourth quarter. But look, that didn't spoil. You know, I'm keeping updates on all these guys on Twitter, but I also over at hogville.net and I do a final assessment after every game for each player to grade, and I gave him an A. He got an A for that performance, and well-deserved. Jordan Walsh out of the gates looking strong in Summer League after a lot of people questioned whether or not he should come out. He obviously did well at the Combine, moved himself up in the top 40 in the draft, so an early second-round pick. Sacramento technically drafted him, and it was immediate trade to Boston. That's who was targeting him at that pick, and so good for Jordan Walsh out of the gates in Las Vegas Summer League.
Yeah. What grade did you give? Do you want to go Nick Smith next?
Yeah, we can go Nick. He's played 3 games. In fact, in less than an hour, he's going to play his 4th game. Yeah. Charlotte takes the court here shortly as we're taping this. But I've graded after each game. And so he's been a couple of B minuses, a C plus. That Hornets Summer League team is maybe the worst I've ever seen. It's poorly constructed. If you look around the NBA, if you look around Summer League, all of these teams have shooters. A lot of these players, when you look at these rosters, are not going to play in the NBA, maybe ever. Mm-hmm. Some of them won't play much in the G League, if at all. But they understand the way the game's played now, 5-out basketball. You've got to have shooters on the floor if you're going to put a product out there, even for Summer League, which has a lot of attention now. And you're trying – the whole point of it is to get your drafted players, guys like Nick Smith Jr., Brandon Miller, who was the number 2 overall pick, 2 first-rounders, to get them some experience, but you also need to put pieces around them to give them a chance to play competent basketball. And it's been really tough for Nick. There's no shooters with the Hornets, very little skill, poor decision-making. And that's been an organization on the NBA level that's not been very good in recent years. But certainly when you look at the Summer League team, it's one of the worst I've seen. Nick, so I've given him a couple of B minuses, C pluses. Those are relative to being a guy that's playing lead guard, really learning that position now. He didn't play much of that at Arkansas. You have to go back to high school when he was on the ball as much. 2 years ago, but also the considering what's around him. So I did all that to make excuses a little bit for Nick. First game, 4 turnovers. Second game, he cut it in half to 2. Cut that down to 1 in his last outing. So playing on the ball, he's the game looked sped up for him early. Now he's playing with pace, some confidence as a primary handler. 3.3 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game. He had 7 in his last outing. That's more than triple the amount he averaged at Arkansas. He's averaging 10 points a game. Had an off shooting night this last game, but from 2 point field goal range, he's 11 of 24. That's one more make away from being 50%. So he's at 46% there. The real problem so far for Nick in these games has been his efficiency from 3, 2 of 13. But even as a lead guard, when you move the ball and the ball doesn't move back and it doesn't come back to you, everybody's driving on this team. Everybody's catching it, pounding the rock, and looking for a drive. And there's no kickouts, no good ball movement, getting the defense out of position. So to give you an example, Jordan Walsh yesterday, I counted 4 catch and shoot 3-point shot opportunities early in the game before the first quarter had ended.
Yeah.
Through 3 games, Nick Smith Jr. has had a total of 5 catch and shoot opportunities off ball movement in 3 games. So it's hard to get everything off the dribble. He's been splendid off the dribble so far in 2-point land, but from 3, the ball's going to have to move for everybody. You look at the shooting percentage in this last game going against Victor W. Ugly game, 76-68. Nobody shot the ball well. Nick ended up 2 of 10. Both of his makes inside the arc. But I think we're going to see as this continues, he looks more and more comfortable. And I thought defensively, he had his best game in this last game. Held his ground they intentionally posted up a guy down low, a bigger guard, turned into the paint. Nick timed it, blocked the shot, got the rebound, and pushed the other way. So you're starting to see him figure things out a little bit. Again, it's summer league. It's only 3 games. But he's shown improvement, and he's moved the bar with his comfort level playing the 1 and defensively. And so the shooting, I think, will take care of itself. I think these other things show encouragement moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We know Nick's going to get it going. Saturday was the first time we got to see Walsh, but it was the first time we also got to see AB, right? I'm not making that up.
No, AB. Look, there were some wow moments with Anthony Black. Really out of the gates, the subtle things he does as a creator, a ball handler. He knows how to probe the defense and then see guys move into spots. That's a big part of it. He passes guys open, but he understands when they're coming open as well and hits them for nice shots. So early in that game yesterday against the Pistons, AB set the table for others, 4 early assists, started hitting the glass. You saw him get defensive rebounds and throw ahead in transition. Just all the little things that people may take for granted and don't realize set up winning plays and easy scores. Jalen Williams, we're going to talk about him, does that as well as a big player, as a post player. But Anthony Black is a 6'7" lead guard. And then in the fourth quarter, Will, this guy took over offensively for the Magic, 12 points in the fourth quarter, 5 of 5 from the field. He anticipated a foul on a pull-up three-pointer from the deep right side and banked it in. So he had an and one opportunity, missed the free throw after a timeout. But like I said, 12 fourth quarter points. So he finishes with 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and just an all around, some of his nuance on offense when he was scoring these baskets. I mean, taking his man just to get his guy, just one little move toward his left, getting his guy off balance, leaning that way, then went right, then Euro step back to the left and finished off the window. Had a nice pull up, little fadeaway off the dribble from about 16 feet. That was something I started to notice late last year. He was adding some mid-range stuff, not a lot in quantity, but you could tell he'd been working on some of this. And now you see he's moved the needle even more. So technically he scored at all 3 levels. But I think the one thing that stood out to me, and I see people on social media saying this is uncharacteristic. Well, he had 7 turnovers. So I ended up with a B+ for Anthony Black. This was otherwise an A performance by him, but 7 turnovers. Well, some of this is as good as his vision is and as well as he times things. Yeah. Sometimes he's still not fully, like sometimes he tries to thread a needle that's a little bit too tight a pocket, timing and placement just a little bit off at times, because other times it's brilliant. Yeah. So he's going to work through that. But at Arkansas, he led the team in turnovers. He was the primary handler, but he was over 3 a game, and he had some of those games 4, 5, 6 turnovers. So we've seen it before. We saw it in his first game, but like Nick Smith Jr. cut his down by half each time. Keep an eye on Anthony Black moving forward. I think he's going to learn from this. couple of other things, just minor stuff in transition when the ball on some of these turnovers going from offense, turnover, or long rebound to defense. Instead of running back, he kind of matador reached at a guy that he had no chance to get the ball. And now the other team's got a numbers advantage. So sometimes these little bitty things, they're easy, they're probably the defensive stuff's easier to clean up because overall, defensively, I thought he was good. He had the 3 steals. The turnovers are, again, he'll be a work in progress there. But I look at how big and skilled this young Magic team is when you're talking about the actual Magic, not the Summer League team.
Yeah.
And I look at Anthony Black as a guy that's going to be able to help all those guys get better because he's unselfish. He's facilitator first. He's team player first, and it's not about him. And I think he's going to be a magnificent pro. I really do. I mean, this guy, Eric Musselman's talked about him and Nick Smith Jr. as potential all-stars. What I've seen so far from both guys so far, people are not going to say this is how bad Charlotte's look, but I see hints there that it's there for Nick Smith Jr. And I certainly saw with Anthony Black yesterday with a more competent, well-rounded Summer League roster that the Magic have.
Yeah, and Ricky Council, he's been making some waves on social media as well. I don't know if that dunk made it on Sports Center, but looks pretty good on
one
Instagram.
Of the games, he had 3 or 4 dunks. They nullified one on a, saying it was goaltending, basket interference, and it wasn't. He's been what we thought he would be. He hasn't made a shot from 3 yet through 4 games in Summer League play. He's 0 for 9, but the good news there is 4 games 0 for 9, low volume. Now he's going to have to get better there. He's going to have to get better there to be a consistent guy they count on at the top level. But look, as a 2-way contract player, he's going to get some opportunities. But what I've seen so far, he's scored in double figures nearly every game. 3 out of the 4 was at 8 points in one of the other.
Mm-hmm.
He's been efficient from inside the arc. He's been good there, over 50%. But what I like about it is he's playing to his strengths, getting downhill, crossing guys over on his drives, finding ways. He's got a lot of tough makes when he goes up, feeling a little contact, kind of hanging a little bit because he's got that extra leaping ability, and then going window. But a lot of really strong finishes for him. A lot of the dunks we talked about in transition. Those are, fans will buy tickets to come see a guy do that. I mean, that's part of what the NBA is. And Ricky Council checks that box, man. But what I really like, I went through the offensive stuff. What I really like so far, I love it. I love it, Will. The 2 areas where he was so inconsistent at Arkansas was on the glass with all that athleticism, sturdy 6'6" built guy. Mm-hmm. Inconsistency on the glass and inconsistency defensively. And so far, he has done his job. In fact, he had 8 rebounds yesterday. He's had multiple games where he's 5+ rebounds. So he's doing the job on the glass from that wing spot. That's going to help him get run with the parent club, with the 76ers. He's also been good defensively. This is where he had so many letdowns at Arkansas. And he's not been perfect. He's had some, but he's more dialed in on that end of the floor. He seems to have a sense of urgency about staying attached to his man or helping in being on time in help situations. So I think Ricky Council's starting to figure it out what it means, what it's going to mean to be a pro. Again, this is Summer League stuff, but this is his opportunity, and I feel like he's made the most of it. He's getting a lot of attention, and here's a guy that when you're on a 2-way contract with the Sixers, there are teams that if they wanted to sign him and can come and get him, for a regular, some kind of a minimum deal, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. There might be some interest there based on what this body of work that he's putting together right now, but he's been solid. And look, Pro Hog Patrick Beverly just signed with the Sixers out of free agency. Oof. And so you talk about defense and doing the little things. That's a guy he needs to go to immediately when the summer league's over, or if PB's out in Vegas now, and start picking his brain on just the little things and the nuances to level his game up even more.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely knows how to make those social highlights and grab that attention. So much fun to watch Ricky, and I wish we could talk Summer League all day, but we just don't have the time for that. We do need to talk recruiting. Kev, what's going on there?
Well, Arkansas has got, there are several players that Eric Musselman and Anthony Ruda were at the Nike Peach Jam, their big finale event in North Augusta, South Carolina this week. And a lot of these guys are 5-star guys that everybody's heard about, top 10 level players. Trey Johnson out of Texas. Arkansas's had luck, a very good success recruiting out of there. We know, just talked about Jordan Walsh and Anthony Black. but Trey Johnson's one of the top 5 players in the country. You're talking about Carter Knox, comes from an NBA a basketball blue blood pedigree, who's what a 5-star guy that Arkansas has made his list of final schools. One of the top players out there, Jace Richardson, out of Las Vegas, whose dad, Jason Richardson, has history with Arkansas's coaching staff, including Eric Musselman as a pro player. But these are guys that all played very well this week, that Arkansas coaches had eyes on, among others, at the Nike Peach Jam. But I think all of that stands out to me because when you build a program and you start adding 5-star guys, not just from your in-state of Arkansas, but neighboring state of Texas, you cast the wide net. You just had 3 players drafted a couple of weeks ago in the NBA draft to back up some of the on-court success and then development of players. You've got to snowball that. So you've got to make these appearances, be front and center to watch these guys play. Arkansas does a great job of that. And we'll see if they get some visits. Trey Johnson's one that's talked about. He plans on visiting Arkansas. We'll see if that shakes out. The Hogs are in his top 6. They'd love to get him. But there's other players that Arkansas has been recruiting. Recent 2026 Hog offer right here out of Little Rock, J.J. Andrews at Nike Peach Jam this week. Ooh. Had an outstanding event, outstanding performances consistently. Keep an eye on him. He's been ranked as high as top 10 by ESPN, a 5-star. But other players at Arkansas is recruiting at the Adidas circuit in Rock Hill, South Carolina. K-Honor Boateng, I just tweeted this before we came on today. 21.4 points per game in 5 games over there. This is a guy, Will, 6'5", chiseled, athletic, just textbook, looks like a textbook NBA player right now. Be a senior at Little Rock Central next year. But for the 17U Arkansas Hogs, 21.4 points per game. But here's a guy that's been an athletic stud, above the rim, slasher, superb on-ball defender, stuffs the stat sheets with rebounds, steals, assists, whatever it takes. But those 21.4 points, that's not surprising. This other part's not surprising either, but it continues to show his development on the skill level, shooting the basketball. 17 of 36 from 3 this week, so over 3 makes per game and shooting at over 47% from 3. This is a guy that has continued to add not only efficiency but volume on his 3-point shooting. This is becoming a complete package player at both ends. Rated by a couple of services as a 5-star, one in the top 10 in the nation. He's a guy that in ESPN's, I think he's in their top 30 or top 35. K-Honor Boateng is inching closer to that top 25 status, which will put him in the conversation in a few months. Not only will he be nominated for the McDonald's All-American game, I think he's going to have a great opportunity to clinch one of those spots. And it's performances like he had this week, they're going to help move the needle. 2025 Arkansas offer Terrion Burgess out of Benton, 6'9" combo forward. Played all 5 positions this week for the Hawks. Was very efficient, nearly 53% shooting from the field, 13.5 points, but just was rebounding the ball well, assisting well, blocked nearly 2 shots per game, but played all 5 positions. And I was told when you look at all-around play, both he and K-Honor Boateng raised their exposure level because it was the summer championships for Adidas. A lot of coaches on hand during this live eval period, but they played so well that I think it's moved the marker for both of those guys. But keep an eye again on Terrion Burgess and his game as he continues to progress.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. That's all very exciting to hear. Before I let you go, I want to talk about the actual Razorback roster. Is there anything going on there that we need to talk about?
Well, just the team and in general, we've moved into the second part of those early limited practices. It's about 8 weeks worth. Most of June was filled up with it. July, they were off a few days for the 4th holiday, but Arkansas is kind of cranking into that second summer school session. For academically, guys are doing that. Plus, they're going through these limited practices, so they're moving into that part of it. From a recruiting standpoint, we know that Chandler Lawson was the most recent portal addition. Just a couple of weeks ago, he was the 6th portal addition. I keep talking about the unnamed commitment. That's more than just a commitment, and we'll qualify what all of that means a little bit later. We can talk more about it. But look, yeah. They do have another guy on board. It's their 7th guy out of the transfer portal. It's a guy that fits into that 3-4 combo spot, that versatile player spot. So we just kind of are repetitive right now on some of the talking points, simply because we can't say more about it right now. But, the good news is I think for Arkansas, when I look at the roster, I like the veteran qualities. When you look at how they handled recruiting, 2 out of the high school ranks, and then we're going to see 7 now guys out of the portal. So you got a lot of experience. It's what Arkansas did a couple of years ago in their recruiting cycle, and that team ended up being the second of two back-to-back Elite Eight runs. So it's a little not as many portal guys then, but only one recruited high school player that was on that roster. So you see a heavier lean this time. And they also brought five guys back, which I keep talking about that. Headlined by Trevor Brazil and Devo Davis. I had a big feature article about those guys a few days ago, really talking about their importance and how good they are and what they mean to the SEC and college basketball. I think both of those guys are reasons why you look at this team and think, here's a team that should be in that conversation, top two or three teams in the SEC coming into it. So that's title talk. And I think because of the retention, five guys, and it's not just any five guys. I mean, those two lead the way. They're all league guys. And then you've got, two bigs in Mekhi Mitchell and Jalen Graham who have experience in the rotation. They're not chopped liver. Joseph Pinion, by percentage, was Arkansas's best three-point shooter last year. Very limited sample size, but look, he helped Arkansas win two SEC games they might not otherwise win. I mean, not just with a couple of good possessions. He had strong games. So Arkansas's got good retention. They got veterans out of that portal. And when I look at the three-point shooting, it's guard heavy. And I look at the three-point shooting and some of the other things I see in guys like L. Ellis and Jeremiah Davenport. Obviously, don't want to leave out Trayman Mark as a defensive specialist whose offense came around, and then Khalif Battle, who I think could be, it should be in the talk for leading scorer potential for Arkansas, and a guy that gets at all three levels. I love this team, man. I love this team. I love the freshman Leighton Blocker. I think he's probably opened some eyes up there. He's gotten the respect of the veterans, but also I think the coaching staff likes what they see. And then a guy like Bay Fall, who's, we'll see about his availability moving forward, but at 6'10" and some of the things he can do. I mean, McDonald's All-American. So Arkansas, to me, kind of loaded again, and it's exciting to talk about, and we're several months away from the season, but it's always topical talking about Razorback basketball under Eric Musselman.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. It'll be exciting to see what that final roster looks like once that final announcement actually comes out. But Kevin, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everybody for watching at home. See you later, everybody.